Termites! What are we doing? It's Tuesday. That means the bar is open. This is a little wine I had. In case, I don't know, I have a new beer to introduce you guys to. You know, I was telling you about that pickle juice, Jameson with pickle juice. Well, I found a beer with pickle juice in it. It's called Pickle Kolsch. It's from a place in Nashville, Tailgate Brewery. And then I got it at a place called Fowl, which if you're into hot chicken, if you ever come to Nashville, people say they want to go to the ones they've seen on TV. And there's nothing wrong with those, like Hattie B's or whatever, but the line will be enormous. And I really like Fowl. Just saying it makes me want it. What is hot chicken? Well, it's chicken in hot sauce, but it's in the chicken. So I peel off the, you don't have to eat the skin if you don't want. It's delicious, but I'm trying to behave. So I'm gonna taste a little of the pickle beer. Whew, that's a little dark for me. And we've got a lot to talk about, termites. It's been a busy week all over the place. Pickle beer. I wonder if, anything with pickle juice, I would go for. Let me see. Here's your tasting. I know you can't see it if you're listening on a podcast. Just go with me on this. Wow. Man, that's a lot of pickle. Whew. I'm gonna have to sit with that for a minute. I can't give my Yelp review just yet. There's a lot of taste buds exploding right now. There's a few things to get out of the way right now. Notice there's a new Cher. Before I got the other Cher, because I said I liked Cher, my friend Nancy secretly went online and bought me a Cher and mailed it to me. But by that time, the other Cher had come, and they're very hard to find. I know I've read the comments, and you guys are like, where'd you get these? You have to go online. This Cher came all the way from Europe. Yeah. And there's no Anita Bakers anywhere. And I met her on a plane, and she's hilarious and fun, and I may have to get on her and say, where the hell are your cardboard cutouts of yourself? I don't think there's, I can't find one. She would be added if I had room. Well, I will have room, unless people keep sending them. Then eventually it's just gonna be my whole house. It's gonna be like a haunted house of women over 60. I could use a few guys too. Maybe Elvis? I don't really care about Elvis, but my mom would like it. The Irish Rovers. Do they have cardboard cutouts? There's too many of them. Okay, well, I'll think of some. We need to add a guy. I'm not really sure who I would pick. I'd have to go look at my my iTunes and figure out who I would choose out of all the dudes out there. Okay, somebody just flew through my head. Oh, Damien Rice from Ireland. But I bet he doesn't have a cardboard cutout. He's kind of a sad clown. His music's kind of sad, but I like it. It's melancholy. It's good with a few Jamesons. You'll really want to just shove yourself in your swimming pool and never get out. Okay, so this came in the mail to me. I know you guys can't see it, but it's from the United States Post Office. And who's the biggest fan of the United States Post Office? This lady. I think it is the most underrated and one of the most bulletproof system we have. And I think I have jokes about it. My act, they're on YouTube, but you can find them. Just do Madigan Post Office, it'll come up. But so they sent this so that everybody says this is all bullshit. It's not bullshit. It says if you plan to vote by mail, plan ahead. I used to vote by mail when I'd be out in California. I always voted in Missouri. It's very simple. Dear postal customer, if you vote by mail, we're committed to providing you a secure, effective way to deliver your ballot. Use this checklist to prepare. Ready, termites? Start today. Give yourself and your election officials ample time to complete the process. Exactly. 2, rules and dates may vary by state, so contact your election board. Find links at USPS.com/voting info, period. Request your mail-in ballot, often described as absentee. See, that's the difference. Absentee is mail-in, and there are people that are trying to twist that, and it doesn't matter. You can mail in, you can always do this if you request an absentee ballot. You can, for whatever reason, it doesn't even matter. Once received, follow the instructions. That'd be good. Add postage. Yep. See, here's where they get you. I'm kidding. They're doing something for you. We'd recommend you mail your ballot at least 7 days before election day. We're ready to deliver for you. Make sure you're ready too. God damn it. Love, your United States Postal Service. All right, they didn't write love, but I think they would if they could. I think they mean it. So So anybody that says this is all bullshit, it's not. They're giving you a heads up. And if you don't want to go because of COVID, or maybe you don't like the people that work at your polling place, back to my old joke, why our elections so screwed up? How old are the people running those places? Literally, those women are like 7,000 years old. Here's your ballot, honey. I voted for Taft. You know what's funny about that joke? I did that in Ohio once, and they had a real Taft currently. Like Taft, the Taft family's still going strong in Ohio, so the joke didn't even make any sense. They were like, why would that lady tell you who she was going to vote for? I'm like, what? There's still Tafts left? I thought he was so fat. He was the fattest president ever. Did you know that? William Howard Taft, go look it up. Fatty, he had to be buried like in a piano. Or maybe people made that up. I don't know. But there's pictures of him, and he was a fatty. He definitely was a fatty. All right. So, and I like to open with a Dolly Parton quote. This one's about dieting. Again, I agree. I'm on board with Dolly. Every single diet I ever fail off was because of potatoes and gravy of some sort. I couldn't agree more with Dolly on that. That's you can keep your cake. You can keep your sweets. It's always amazing to me when a full-grown adult goes, would you like to get an ice cream cone? And then I think, are you going to molest me in a van? Why would you say that? Who does it? I mean, then I will go with the kids or something, and it's good, but it just doesn't cross my mind. What does cross my mind is potatoes and gravy. I'm with Dolly. Maybe just potatoes and butter and salt. Just go full-on Irish. Dump every piece of Kerry Irish Gold butter you have in your refrigerator. All right, I'm going to try the pickle beer again. Let's see how it goes. No. Yep. I like it. You just got to go really slowly. But you got to get it before it's warm. That's a hard one. You'd have to kind of have a cooler next to you, which would mean a Yeti. And I don't know why it took Yeti this long to figure out to put wheels on those things. What's a Yeti cooler weigh? What do you think? 1,800 pounds? 2,000? Come on, there's some ladies that like them too, guys. The wheels are okay, but they're still heavy. And I know you got to do it to keep the ice cold for 3 days. But if you need your beer outside for 3 days, I say you got to pick up the pace of your party. How about that? Here's where I'd like to start with sports. And I'm not going to go deep. So if you're not a sports person, don't panic. This won't last long. And it's not really about sports. It's about time zones. In my life, I've never understood how East Coast people stay awake for anything. Because I've asked my East Coast friends, okay, so Monday Night Football is on at 9, which to me is too late. If you have a day job, I'm like, do you guys have to be there at the same time we do in the Midwest or the West Coast? Well, the West Coast is lazy ass when it comes to Hollywood. Everybody floats in around 10, which is great, I think, but that's not like a real job in my mind. I mean, it's a real job once you get there. But I'm talking about people 9 to 5ers, 8 to 5, whatever. I don't know how East Coast people do it because there was a doubleheader of football and I think I fell asleep and then they have to get up and go to work the next day. Baseball, the playoffs and all that, World Series people. And I think, what if you were a kid, would they let you stay up? I don't. I respect the East Coast. I think the Midwest, and I'm not just saying this because I'm from the Midwest, but I think we are the best time zone for sports, 8 o'clock Monday night. Bam! You can stay awake till 11 and still even watch the local news if you're so inclined. The COVID's coming. That's the local news by me. We're going to have a coloring contest, and you can color COVID sales. The West Coast, I lived on the West Coast. I have in my life, and I didn't like that either because what time's Monday Night Football there? 6. What? So then you have to race home from your job. You didn't even get there till 10. And now you want to leave at 5, and traffic's horrible, so you're always going to miss the first part of it. So this is just a shout-out, lifetime, one-time shout-out to all East Coasters who are hell-bent on staying up. I applaud you, and I toast you with a Pickle Kolsch beer. It tastes a lot more like pickles than beer, but that's all right. Second thing in sports, very, very, very sad day if you're a St. Louis Cardinal fan, because Lou Brock passed away. And it literally, then sometimes I think, is there something wrong with me? Because I don't cry sometimes at things you should probably cry at, like a wedding. I just think of all the legalities if it doesn't work out. But I cried because they took Lou Brock's casket by Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play, and his wife got out and said, "Thank you, Cardinal Nation," and all this stuff. And right next, because there's a big statue of him outside of the ballpark, where there's statues of all the great Cardinals, which I like to rub into my friend Dan's face when we go to Cincinnati, because there's Johnny Bench and like 4 other guys. The Cardinals, there's so many. They go around the block, up the thing, and over to where the Blues play. Okay, I exaggerated. That's not true. But we do have a lot more that would be, say, nationally known. Stan Musial, people of that ilk, Ozzie Smith, blah, blah. Here's another shout out of Are You Kidding Me? Sports. So dedicated. And you have to go Google this. There's a man in Buffalo, New York, which I have been to many times. I used to work the club there, and then I moved on to the theater stuff. And I always go to the Anchor bar thing, and that's where the chicken wing, the hot wings were invented. And people go, "Oh, there's better wings in Buffalo." Well, you know, I don't have a fucking map about that. But I do have a map about that place. And I think they're delicious there. I say shout out to who's ever cooking them, and there's a statue of the lady who created it, and she's shorter than me. Or maybe they didn't have enough money to build a statue. It was taller than me. But yeah, I took my picture next to it. I like the people of Buffalo. I do like their fans. If you're not a football fan, they seem to be the most, they seem to be the people that care the least about their lives, because they're leaping from, this is pre-gaming. They haven't even gone into the game that they paid a ticket for. They paid money for it. They're jumping off of like the top of vans onto what I would describe as a Target card table. And then they smash through it. And I imagine there's spinal injuries, definitely bruised tailbones. And I don't know if you should applaud drinking and jumping, but as a viewer, love it. I don't see anybody else doing that. That's dedication. Here's the other thing with those people, Buffalo. And the Bills, I always hope they're good because they haven't been good in so long. Like, they're okay. Like, I really want them to go far, all the way. Just because I like their uniforms. I like the people up there. Solid fan base. There's a man in Buffalo who got upset because a man moved in across the street or next door, very close to him, and he put up Jets stuff. New York Jets, like, I don't know, like one of those flags or some shit. And the guy said, "Yeah, I'm not dealing with that." So he painted his entire house in the Buffalo Bill logo. It's blue, and then on the side there's the Buffalo Racing. I don't know that I've ever seen anything that committed, even in Green Bay, and I've walked all the neighborhoods in Green Bay outside of the stadium, and they are diehards. They are committed. But wow, go online, check that guy out. My parents stopped by, and I don't know why I listened to them. I think just because they're older than me. They both told me in agreement that if I mixed vinegar, 50% of vinegar, 50% of water, and dumped it all over the hydrangea blooming white flowers that are now blooming, they said the vinegar and water combination would turn them pink or blue. Either or. I thought, well, I want to see this happen. So I did it, and they're all dead. They're brown. Brown was not mentioned. Does anybody know the answer? I did Google it, and I think there was too much vinegar. I think you're supposed to use like a cup for 7 gallons. If anybody knows, put it in the comments. Can white even change another color? See, this is why I give up on plants. I Googled that, and then it's a rabbit hole that I don't know. They're talking about turning pink ones to blue, and can you turn blue back? And all I know is my parents did a flyby to kill my yard. That's what I know. Then they went to Florida, and got there, and sadly the air conditioner kind of exploded, and there's a lot of mold now growing in the out of the carpet. Yep. And you know, mold can go in your lungs and grow just like you're a swamp or a lily pad. And my mom is down a lung from lung cancer, which she survived quite nicely. But I'll tell you, if she had 2 lungs, I'd have made them stay. But since you're down a lung, we'll find you another place while that gets fixed. So that's what's going on with the old people. Some of you guys have requested, so I did the research, because why? I'm here to work for you. Is there any updates on my obsession with Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? I always have a Google alert on, but basically, I'm going to tell you, oh wow, that pickle beer, man. They're still sticking by what the Malaysian government said from the beginning. And this is an article that's for real. It's from the Australian News. My very clear understanding from the top levels of the Malaysian government, it is from very, very early on, they thought it was a murder-suicide by pilot. I'm not going to say who said what to whom, but let me reiterate. I want to be absolutely clear. It was understood at the highest levels this was almost certainly a murder-suicide by the pilot, so-and-so said. Here's why I think, yeah, I think so. Because my sister goes, what if it's like that show Lost, and they're all on an island drinking margaritas? I said, well, here's what bothered me about that show Lost. That one guy, the fat guy, never got thin. You're on an island with no food, and Fatty is not getting skinnier. Somebody needed to work on that. I don't know what you call that job. Continuity? Is that the job? I've been on enough TV shows, and I don't know keeping track of weight. I never heard of that job. They figured it went down about 1 o'clock in the morning, between 1 and 1:21. Here's the guy. It's this Captain Zahiri Ahmad Shah. He was lone. Here's the thing. He was just recently separated, if not divorced. I'm not sure, but I know separated. So he was a sad clown. After his wife moved out, he was lonely and sad. Also, quote, spent a lot of time pacing empty rooms. That's not good. And obsessed over 2 young internet models. The pilot's family has long denied that he was suicidal, but he also had a simulator in his house. This is where, and this was said in the very beginning. My thing was, how come you can't find it? I know the Indian Ocean is big. I know the waves are big. I get it. But, I mean, come on. You know, what was this, 2000 whatever, you know, where they're like, well, we lost our plane. As I used to say in my act, acceptable statement for a boat, a ship in 1694. Fuck, I know. That was acceptable. If you went back to Spain and talked to Queen Isabella and said, look, I don't know, lady, we lost your ship, she'd go, all right, I'll buy you another one. That's all the in-depth they went, I'm sure. But this was crazy. Forensic examinations of the pilot's simulator by the FBI also revealed he experimented with a flight profile that roughly matched what's to believe what happened to MH370, and that it ended in fuel exhaustion over the Indian Ocean. I mean, he's got a video game and he's made this pattern. So yeah, I've never disagreed that this was it. And if you go through my thing online, it's on the Bothering Jesus Netflix. Did I plug that? I didn't really work that in. It's been up on Netflix for a while. There's other specials somebody asked. You just Google my name in there. I don't know where they go. It's called, somebody buys it initially, and then they just sell it, you know. So some are on Amazon, some are, I don't know. All I know is I'm not on the Discovery ID channel. That's where I'd like my next special to be. I want murder, 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 murder. Funny lady. Just a little break from the murder, and then maybe I'll talk about the murders. My mom would watch, guarantee you that. Scattered debris, pieces of debris that washed ashore on African beaches. Okay, nobody's ever told us about that. And Indian Ocean islands, I did hear about that. Indicate M370 crashed in a distant stretch of ocean, but a multi-government search by Australia, Malaysia, and China has failed to pinpoint a location. Abbott believes a new investigation is now warranted. I don't know about that, but I can tell you, as being the daughter of a lawyer, those people shouldn't have taken that first offer. Don't do that, because the government's going to come. And I know a lot of people over there don't have a lot of money, so if they offer you $5,000, that's going to seem like a shit ton of money, which it probably is to them. But I'm telling you, you could get a shit ton of money if you hold out. Don't give in. Okay, so that's a little update on that. If I hear anything more on my Google alerts, I will absolutely let you guys know. But somebody else, some other old person aside from me, said they're glad to see I print things out from the internet. Do you know how much money I'm spending on ink for you guys? Shit ton. I can't organize on the computer. I mean, I know how to use it for important things like fantasy football and run my pool for the US Open 2020 golf. I know how to do that, but I don't know how to organize all this. So yeah, I'm printing it out. So I like to do a gas station food update. And by gas station food, I mean really kind of anything bad for you. There's another comedian friend of mine, Kelly McFarland. Have you ever heard of Kelly? Go on iTunes, get her CD. Very, very funny lady. She agrees with me that we could just live on gas station food. I could live in a Love's. Like if there was a Survivor deal, you know, like Alone or Naked and Afraid, but you had to live in a gas station and eat that, I would do it. Here's another horrible thing for you. Ready, everybody? Twinkie cereal. They did it. They went that far. Now, I prefer Ding Dong, and how fun would it be if this was filled with little tiny Ding Dongs wrapped in Reynolds Wrap? But it's not. It's Twinkies, and it's hard to find. This box is mangled. This was the last one, and it says, here's what it's got that's good for you. Nothing. Vitamins? No. Potassium? Yeah. It's just, you know. You would eat a bowl of this and I think you'd feel awesome for about 9 minutes. And then I think you would crash and you'd need a nap. And then you'd wake up and want another bowl of it. It looks delicious. I give them credit for thinking about it. So there's that. Now, also, I'm going to say that one. There's 3 food updates. Now this one is for sadly, it's just for the Canadians right now. Good for them. But that doesn't mean it's not coming here. Taco Bell, if you guys know my act, you know what I think they should be restaurant of the century. They have 7 ingredients, and every other Friday they have new items. You try that shit at home. You can't. Nobody can do it. I don't know how they do it. And I try them all. I'm that lady. I will try everything. But really, I just want 2 beef tacos. Soft. That's my favorite thing. And a Diet Coke. And I think it's all under $3. Okay, so here's what's happening at Taco Bell. Sometimes a brand does something weird and potentially awesome, like Taco Bell announcing it will begin selling a Canadian-grown Pinot Noir, aptly named Jalapeno Noir. This is to go. It's to go with the toasted cheesy chalupa about to meet its best bud, Jalapeno Noir. I would try that. A toasted cheesy chalupa. I'll try anything as long as there's not cilantro or curry involved. He said, I just do not, I'll eat anything, but Indian food, no. And then people go, well, you probably just weren't at a good Indian restaurant. Well, I've been to like 20 and they were crowded. Did they all suck? There were people in there. Are they as dumb as me? I mean, LA had a lot of them. And I got tricked again and again and again. If you don't like curry, all I would do is eat the bread. So that's healthy. That's going to keep you not enormous. I'm going to walk in this building and it'd be like going into a Greek restaurant and just ordering a pile of pitas. What would you like, ma'am? Would you like to try an gyro? Or as we would say in the Midwest, a gyro? No, I want a giant pile of pitas. Anyway, it's going to be paired with the toasted cheesy chalupa, which complements notes, and the wine complements notes of wild strawberry, cherry, and beetroot in this silky limited edition red wine. Yeah, so it's happening in Canada. Maybe it'll come here. If you Canadians drink enough, so I'm putting that on you. And I saw the breakdown of this podcast. I know who's listening and I know where. I know my top 5 cities. I know countries. And yeah, Canada, get drinking. Toasted cheesy chalupa. You could probably have the wine if you don't get that. I think they're just suggesting it like a fine restaurant. Hey, what pairs well with my cheesy chalupa? Oh, well, we have an excellent Pinot Noir. Or you could just have a Diet Coke like a normal person. I don't picture fast food with alcohol, which is one of the rare things I don't picture alcohol with. Okay, this announcement is life-changing. This is a game changer if you're a hot sauce person. Old Bay launched a hot sauce, and it broke the internet, broke their website when they announced it, because so many people, the Old Bay seasoning, you guys have to know that, right? Well, now they've made their own hot sauce, and I'm into hot sauce, so there you go. That's just a tip. Some of these things aren't funny. They're just to keep you going. Things to get excited about, things to feel good about. There you go. Okay. So I like to tell you guys if I find Twitter sites that I like. I told you about Super 70s Sports. I forgot that guy's name. Ricky or something. It's on the thing. Very funny. But this week, I think you guys should go watch. If you go on my Twitter feed, and I'm not plugging my own, it's only because I retweeted it. Sacha Baron Cohen, who's he's Borat and all those funny movies. I forget he's British because he does so many accents, and I forget he can be a serious person. Honestly, initially watching this video, it's a 6-minute long thing, and I think it's worth it. It's serious. It's not funny. And I didn't even know the dude could be serious, and I forgot he was British. So the whole thing to me was like mind-blowing, and I didn't realize it was him at first. I just thought it was some British dude pissed off about Facebook. It's so good, and it's so well said, and it's how I feel about the facial book. And I don't necessarily feel that way about Twitter and Instagram, and I think Facebook owns Instagram. I know that. But Instagram, I don't see fake shit on Instagram. Maybe I do. Maybe I see fake pictures, but I like Instagram when I'm hungover because I don't have to think or argue, and I just look at beagle pictures. Puppies, mostly. Beagle puppies, maybe some dachshunds. Anything in the hound group. Anything in the hound group, winner with this lady. I don't have a dog because I'm gone too much, but maybe I'll never leave again. Once we get over that hump, then I'm getting a beagle. And hopefully it won't be too much of a talker. I know a lot of them talk a lot, but that's kind of what I like about him. Anyway, he does this whole thing about social media. So we talked about The Great Hack, which I think you guys should watch, and that focuses mainly on Cambridge Analytica and how that group took all the information from mostly, again, I know Twitter is corrupt because I am on Twitter and I like Twitter. I shouldn't say corrupt, but I know there's a shitload of bots on there. All you got to do, I don't know why Twitter can't do it, because I can tell. It's so simple, ferreting these things out. And I just used the word ferret out. Pretty impressive. You just look on their profile and it's got eagles and American flags and they have no followers and they're not following anybody. And then they just write, hateful shit. And you're like, well, that's a bot. Block. Or there'll be 7,000 the same day saying the same thing. So that's not real either. But in general, like I've met people that I've met on Twitter in real life. They're real people. It's not bullshit. And I'm not saying all of Facebook is bullshit, but The Great Hack explains to you how they go, if they can even change, like 0.1% of people's minds, it can sway an election. And that movie goes on through how they meddle in elections. And it's not just the United States. I mean, man, they really did a number on a couple of smaller countries where you're like, holy shit, wow, people believe that. But I also believe, how susceptible are you to believing it? Like, my parents will believe Photoshop. They don't even think that a picture could be Photoshopped. Because in their generation, you would have had to have a man go in a dark room with chemicals and cut up another picture and then like take the picture of the shark and then put it in a picture of someone's backyard, and you'd have to cover up the lines that you cut your cutout. It would be very complicated. But I don't know, I think I look at most things and go, yeah, no. So there's another movie, and I forgot to tell you termites to go watch it. I just stumbled upon it. I think it was on Netflix also. It's called The Social Dilemma. This is more about what it's doing to us individually and families and teenagers, and they're not quite as concerned about elections and the political part of it. They're more concerned about what is it doing to all of us. Now, first of all, I wasn't real hyped up when I saw the word docudrama. To me, that's like KFC, Taco Bell, same building. No, 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 no. Either you're a documentary or you're a drama. As soon as I see docudrama, here's what I know is going to happen. I'm going to be watching something that's really cool, and then weird people are going to act shit out. That's what's going to happen. And it's not going to seem good, and it's not going to seem real. And this movie is guilty of that. But there's not a lot in it. So just forgive that part when you're watching it. It was hard for me because I can be very critical of that because it's a pet peeve of mine. It's a big pet peeve. I just don't like the genre. And I like to throw that word around when I'm talking about films that are nominated for the Academy Awards. My favorite one is short film. I don't even know what that is. In the Midwest, I'm not sure we have those. My idea of a short film is some shit I turned off. Well, wasn't that short? Hated it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the social dilemma. This is what they're telling you. Social media is always going to be a dozen steps ahead of you. True. But so is math and science. There's a lot of shit that's many steps ahead of me. Doesn't mean I should discount it yet, right? Right? Even when you think you may have cracked the formula for social networking. Well, I don't know. As most of the world continues to be homebound, Netflix has placed audiences in the ultimate social dilemma by streaming The Social Dilemma, the latest documentary from Jeff Orlowski. In the past 6 months, OTT giant has put out a plethora of documentaries on the internet problems. So what's so different with this one that people all over the world are hyperventilating? Answer? All those facts swirling about surveillance, data collection, algorithmic power, and addiction have solid corroboration straight from the people who not only worked at these companies, but even helped start them or catalyst their growth. In the roughly 90-minute film, a handful of former employees of Twitter, Google, Apple, Facebook, Uber, Instagram, I was raised, don't get in a car with a stranger. Now I'm calling a stranger to my house and I'm getting in. I have a tough time. That's the daughter of a lawyer, though. Those aren't employees. Those are freelancers. You know when I want to get in? Because I'm old? A cab who's an employee of said cab service. So when we get in a crash or he decides to take me out to the woods and torture me, somebody can come and hold someone responsible. Just throwing that out there. They recount their ethical concerns over the shifting tides of social media and power. As expected, audiences share in the discomfort of these confessionals, which appear to be a PSA of sorts. Yeah, I don't think I wasn't uncomfortable. They could have talked for another 20 years. I'm like, you did a gig. The one guy was really upset that he invented the like book for Facebook. I guess because of what it leads to. I don't know. He did explain it. I guess I forgot. I don't know. I just thought he just did something fun, and is it your responsibility if it goes crazy? It's a like button. It's not an Uzi. I mean, I don't know. The social dilemma stresses what we have subverted to in a lifetime of voluntary servitude online, because especially now, it is our primary means of connection. It confronts audiences with the reality that future generations are essentially born only to be sent down a rabbit hole that is both addictive, isolating thanks to the features such as doom scrolling, formerly known as the euphemistic infinite scrolling. I can admit I can go down that hole with Twitter because of the scrolling, and it's just constant news. And I do like to think of myself as an information vampire, as is my friend Drew. And but your brain gets tired eventually of it. And like if I go to Europe for vacation sometimes, to Ireland to golf with Lewis, we both have Sprint because we're, losers, I guess. And it doesn't work over there. Well, his did one time, I think. I don't know. I don't even care. I'm so happy the phone doesn't work. I don't care. But if it's in front of me, it's the same way I feel about gambling. If video poker's in front of me, or craps, not blackjack, I don't want any math involved. Yeah, I'm going to play till I fall asleep. But if it ain't in front of me, I don't think about it. So it's selective addiction. Anyway, as a theorist, okay, this guy, believes that the masses are conditioned through language to take on an ideological perspective which may have very little to do with fact. I disagree with that. Now with social media is the reality of fake news and memes which gain traction through shock value and bias but have prevalent effects on customers. Well, you know, who's believing this shit? That's what I got to point out first. I mean, I don't know. At least question it, right? Or if you already believe what you believe, but there are clearly, according to these shows, there's enough people that can be swayed that it does work. Then it goes through surveillance. The internet is not black and white. Everything people are doing online is being watched, is being tracked, is being measured. Okay, fine. But here's my next thing. Let's say that sentence true. Somebody's still got to do something with all that shit. Okay, we have 1,000 hours of Kathleen's house. Who wants to listen to that? What are you going to do with that? Every single action you take is being monitored and recorded. I don't believe that. Exactly what image you stop and look at and for how long you look at it. Yeah, but there's billions of people. Who's going to organize that? Maybe the computer. People can't. There's not enough people because every person's doing it. Is nobody following my math? Come on. You guys are following. Social media, and then this one person said this, and this is pretty true. Social media is a marketplace that trades exclusively in human futures, and those markets have produced trillions of dollars that have made the internet companies the richest companies. The trading floor here runs on the fuel of algorithm. The social dilemma dissects the three goals of engagement, growth, and advertising held mutually across internet companies. Right, it's advertising. Yes, they want to know about our. It's just more, to me, it's more perfected advertising. Back in the day, if you had a women's shoe ad, you're going to put that in Women's Day. You're not going to put it in Garden and Gun. Maybe Garden and Gun because they have a garden section. It might be a gardening shoe. But I'm just saying we've just figured out how to target better. But it's an ad. I mean, is it going to possess me to buy something? Sometimes it has. Instagram, I would caution. A lot of that stuff looks pretty awesome. And then you get it, not so awesome. Just saying, they do a lot of trickery. But you learn your lesson once and you stop. That's, like anything. After all, Orlowski and his team did not tell us anything we already didn't know on some level. Right. Perhaps the intention lies in the film's timing with all of us screen-bound and little else to do, or perhaps it's to do with the crackdown of governments on internet companies on our data, which we've all been supplying, even willingly, hand over, and the thought of what's the worst that could happen. Exactly. That's what I think. Well, but I don't think they should get it for free. But nobody in these shows ever says, what am I getting out of this? It's not, I'm not getting a service or I wouldn't do it. Here's what Google does. Google stops me from moving, how many letters are in the alphabet? Paddles? 20-something. 20-something. Paddles don't know either. You're going to count on your fingers. Jesus Christ. 27?
31.
31.
No, that's wrong.
Giggle it. See? This is my point. I don't have to go ask my parents.
26.
26. I gave us an extra letter.
See?
It's like the show. Here's what Google does for me.
In the English.
My parents only got the encyclopedia that came free when you bought $100 worth of groceries. That's how we got our encyclopedia set. And then they gave it to me when I moved. I guess they thought I'd need a lot of knowledge wherever I was going. And I lugged those things around from apartment to apartment, and they're a pain in the ass, but I felt terrible throwing them out. And we're missing the good letters. Like in high school, I needed to write a big paper about how bad Hitler was. Well, we didn't have an H. And I was like, how about Stalin? How about Mussolini? We have an M. Because when you got your groceries, you had to just pick out of what was left. And I guess the popular letters got taken. I don't know how that worked. I'd have to ask my mom. But we are getting something. Google's great. Do I believe the answers? Most of the time, yeah. So I'm getting something out of it. Instagram, I'm entertained. It's entertainment. I'm getting entertained. Twitter, I'm getting knowledge faster then I would, NBC Nightly News, all they do is repeat shit I knew a day ago. TikTok. I mean, I love Lester Holt. I think he's wonderful, but Jesus Christ, they're so far behind what's happening. So, I'm just saying, you do get something out of it. Basically, they're saying the documentary, while slickly done, almost like a Vox documentary, there's no message to say remove your digital presence because there's no quick and easy solution. Kind of. However, somewhat confronting the nature of the film does coax audience to hold these internet and companies accountable, which they are. They should have to pay for our data, and then we decide. They shouldn't be able to sell it all around the globe. Like Mark Zuckerberg, you know my feelings on Zuckerberg. I just think he's not a good human. I don't necessarily believe that about Jack, the Twitter guy. I don't think he's as bad as Zuckerberg. I'm not convinced, though, he's an angel either. And he's from St. Louis. So I don't know if I should be embarrassed by him yet or applaud him yet. They are making millions of dollars off of advertising by stealing our stuff because we didn't give them permission. And then sometimes you do give them permission by clicking, I agree to this, but you're not reading the fine print. And then there was a dad on this show that reads all that shit, so his kids couldn't be on anything. And then you're like, oh no, my dad's that guy. So glad my parents didn't have time to do that. They didn't even know what we were doing. And then there's just bad things about social media. Plastic surgeons have been informed about a new syndrome called Snapchat, which I've done. I think that's fun too. Maybe I'm the base lady and there's a picture of me, and I'm too old for Snapchat. I know that, but I do it with my nieces. And it's funny. Sometimes my uncle, he'll do it. Snapchat dysmorphia, because they have filters. You can be like a dog or a cat if you've never been on it, and then you can change your voice where all of a sudden it'll be me as a cat going, hey guys, I have a Pubcast. And it's funny. I don't know, I like them. It's when young people, but this is what Snapchat dysmorphia is, when young people want to have surgery so they can look more like they look in filtered selfies. Okay, but this is a teenager. So you thought we hold the parent responsible. It's not the internet's fault. The parent needs to say, no, you're not getting a facelift to look like a cat. Not today, not on my watch. Nobody in this house is going to have butterflies on their face, if I can stop it. Okay. But this guy wrote, and then I'll get off this subject, but it's an interesting argument about what is all this crap in our phones. Yes, it can be addictive. I don't disagree with that. But then again, are all addictions bad? Not really. People always use that word negatively. Okay. This is The Verge. They wrote a review of it. This guy, and or lady, I don't even know who wrote it. Despite all this, is this film ridiculous? The dramatized segments, he goes through it, that they're just so ridiculous. Don't even pay attention to those. Radicalization doesn't just happen on Facebook or YouTube either. Many of the deadliest far-right killers were apparently incubated on small forums. Church Christ killer, mosque killer, Brenton Tarrant on 8chan. I don't even know what that is. I guess it's a website. Oregon mass shooter, 4chan. What are all these chans? What is this? The number 8chan, 4chan. Tree of Life synagogue killer Robert Bowers on Gab. Norwegian terrorist Anders Breivik on white supremacist sites, including Stormfront, a 23-year-old hate site credited with inspiring scores of murders. So this guy's saying, or the lady, whomever, is saying, it's not just the, there's websites that are crazy too. These sites aren't primarily driven by algorithms or profit motives. Instead, they twist and exploit the open internet's positive ability to connect like-minded people. That's what I think. If you want to know something, here's the thing too. You could Google, I didn't know this, I did learn this. Did you know that if you Google, if you put in, is COVID, put that in Google, the top 5 answers depend on the area you're in? Yeah. So where I'm at, it would say, is COVID, and then bullshit. Fake news. Those are because where I'm at. I didn't know that though. I thought that was a group thing. I thought that was like the most Googled things out of everybody, and I didn't know they were even targeting that kind of information, which is a little weird. Does it hurt me? No. Am I going to read the is COVID bullshit article? No, I'm not. I'm not going to read that. I know it's not bullshit. I'm not sure about the rest of it, but I know it's not just bullshit. Is it a hoax? No, it's not a hoax. Really, the whole world went in on it, destroyed their economies for a hoax. I don't think, maybe some of us are that stupid, but not everybody. With harmful content surfaces on them, it raises a complex moderation question for domain host and web infrastructure providers, a separate set of powerful companies that have completely different models from Facebook. This person says, I'm shocked at how appealing many people find the idea that social networks are uniquely responsible for societal ills. And then they do this cartoon thing, and it was ridiculous in the movie. And then this one lady, she really did work for Facebook, and she reported them because they were doing a lot of political stuff, and that was all real. And she said, I feel like I have, blood on my hands for working there. I get it. This person writes, I can't take seriously a film like Social Dilemma. It wants to hold one company accountable for every change society has undergone since it was founded. But when someone takes her employer to task for the things she found on its service and leaves with feeling of blood on her hands, that's something different. That's the lady who said they were doing all this political stuff that was super sneaky. So basically, if I'm your parent, good news. Well, number one, I like pickle beer. Drink it slowly. And number two, I would let you go on those sites at a certain age. I can't say that you can. I just don't think. I think they do bad things. I mean, they'd steal our information kind of without our permission, but you hit agree to something. Daughter of a lawyer. You got to read that shit. Do I read it? No. First of all, I don't have reading glasses that are that good. Second of all, it's too long, too hard, drifting out. Uh-oh, Thursday Night Football. I can't be bothered with reading an agreement to Snapchat. I just hit yeah, because it's fun. I'm going to learn TikTok. Do you think there's something bad coming through TikTok? No, I know they're taking information and maybe they're spying on me. Well, not if my phone's off. They're not. Maybe it is. Maybe even if it's off. Are they filming me when it's off? I think there just gets a point where you just got to go, am I in or I'm out? I'm in, and I'm in. I like it. Do I think people should be paying for what they're receiving from us? Yes, I do. Will the government ever do that? Probably not. Because I think, as I like to call him, Fuckerberg. Can I get sued for that? No. He donates to all these people, not just Republicans, Democrats too. And there needs to be controls on it. What pisses me off the most is if I printed a story about you, who's ever listening, and it was totally fake, and I wrote that in a newspaper, you could sue me because that would be libelous. And I think he should be held accountable for that kind of crap. If you're going to post it, but when you see these movies, he can't even stop it. AI has gone beyond him, and it's creating it. That's a different movie that probably is already out there. I don't watch horror movies. I'm too old for that. There's enough horror in real life. It's the same reason I like Taylor Swift's songs, but it's the lyrics. I can't relate to, I saw you at the gym and you looked weird. I knew you had somebody else. What? How about, did you refinance the house? You lazy piece of shit. We got to get the finance rate down lower. Now see, if that was the same song, then I'd be like, she's got a good point. Probably should refinance. Okay, then, moving on. But I think you should watch that. Did that sound like too negative? I think you should watch. I was very interested. I may watch the. I didn't get a chance to watch The Great Hack again, but I think I may have to watch it again. It's also weird too. I didn't know this, and it's a little tricky. That's why, like on Twitter, I follow everything, even if I disagree. I follow everything because I want to see what's out there. I like to be a voyeur, if you will, about news. Sports is sports, but news is different. And on Facebook, they just keep feeding you the same shit that you're already kind of looking at. Yeah, trickery. There's a lot of trickery. I would agree with that, but I wouldn't be the parent that said, because there's like in the docudrama, The Social Dilemma, there's a family and they're saying we're not going to use our phones at dinner, and the whole thing goes off the rails, and one kid breaks like a cake plate open to get her phone. It's just, come on now. And not very well acted, even if I'm going to go down that road, which I won't. The other one, and I can't remember if I told you guys to watch it, Class Action Park. Have you seen it? What do you guys think? For you guys who haven't, I'm not going to ruin it. Believe me, there's nothing I can say that can ruin it. But I'm going to tell you a lot about it that I thought was funny or disturbing. The whole gist of it is there was it was called Action Park. It was in Vernon, New Jersey. Opened in 1978, closed in 1996. It was extremely dangerous, extremely popular. There were some deaths that I believe the lady said deaths were, I wrote the quote down because I don't know if I thought it was, death was tolerated. I had to rewind it places. That's not even a word anymore, but go backwards. What are we calling it? Rewind, I guess. Action Park featured 3 separate areas: Alpine Center, Motor World, and Water World. I would be the first one to go to Water World. I'm not interested in, well, Motor World was pretty cool. When you see this show, you can understand why every kid in America would want to go. I can also understand why I would not have been allowed to go. Because, once again, daughter of a lawyer, my dad was not a personal injury lawyer, but he knew some. And one time my brother said they wanted to get mini bikes, and he said, okay, we'll talk about it at dinner. And then at dinner, he passed around a file of people's heads who'd been bashed in from motorcycles and mini bikes. The helmet, according to my dad, was just to limit the amount of brain injury you were going to incur. So that was kind of a turn-off. And then we had a whole separate thing when I said, hey, my friends are cliff jumping in the Ozarks, and I'm going to go do that. And he said, we'll talk about that at dinner. And then he passed around a file of 8 teenagers, anybody up to 25, that were quadriplegics from cliff jumping. Because what you don't know in a lake, unlike Action Park, like they're cliff jumping. I did have a feeling that a lot of these are city kids that didn't have space to go do stupid things for free. Like in the Midwest, or even my friends on the West Coast, we just had room, and I felt bad they didn't have the room. Like their cliff jumping, to me, wasn't that dangerous because there's nothing in the pool. If you cliff jump off into a lake, there could be a log floating below there and you don't know it, and boom, your legs are now in your eyebrows, and you won't walk again. And you probably didn't have a life jacket on, so you're gonna sink. A lot of bad things can happen. But this thing was good. I really liked this movie, and I can see why the kids would have been jacked up. I would have totally wanted to go. I bet I have like a couple of my Jersey pals. I gotta call and see if they went to this. I haven't had time to get to that. I've been very, very busy with my U.S. Open golf pool and my fantasy league. I got Patrick Mahomes. That's all you really need to know. So this park, these are just some of the, there's also, by the way, at this park, there's no helmets involved anywhere. Any ride you went on. And I think here, just to give you an idea, there's at least 6 people are known to have died as a result of accidents on rides, as it was given nicknames such as Traction Park, Accident Park, Class Action Park. Get it? Class action lawsuit. Little effort was made by the state regulators to address the issues, despite the park's history of repeated violations. In later years, personal injury lawsuits led to the closure of increasing numbers of rides, and eventually the entire park closed in 1996. But boy, there's a lot of fun to be had and a lot of sadness to be had before we get to this thing closing. The leader guy, I'm going to tell you about him a little bit more, because they didn't really go deep enough for me on this guy, because he was like sort of a first version of Trump. I do something and I make you sue me, and I have more money than you, so you'll never win, so then you just don't do it, which is not fair, but, you know, it happens. The idea for the park began in 1976 when Eugene Mulvihill and his company Great American Recreation Owners combined Vernon Valley and Great Gorge ski area, and they wanted to find a way to generate revenue during the summer. So then they created this thing. They added water slides. That's not necessarily a problem till you see his water slides. This guy was also part Evel Knievel. Do you guys remember Evel Knievel? If you're young, go Google Evel Knievel. The last daredevil I'm aware of. I think his son Robbie Knievel does stuff, but I don't know that daredevils are going to be what they were in the 70s. And I remember watching him, he was going to jump the Grand Canyon one time, some part, Snake River that part of the Grand Canyon, and my dad said, we should have went to his wedding. And I said, what? I was like 10. I go, how could we have gone to Evel Knievel's wedding? He goes, well, he's our cousin by marriage. I couldn't even speak to my parents for like a month after that. How do you not tell me we are kind of related to Evel Knievel and we could have been at his wedding? What else were we doing, Dad? Digging post holes for a corral? We were, and we didn't have to be doing that. We could have... Anyway, sorry, I got off track. But this guy his rides were not normal. They were like super duper duper dangerous, and like that's what would appeal to a kid though. That's why you'd be like, who's gonna do it? And you'd get all excited, and I probably wouldn't have done it, but I would do some of it, but not. There's a lot of severe shit at this place. Its most successful years in the 80s. In 1982, 2 guests died at the park within a week of each other, leading to permanent closure of one ride. Just one ride. I don't know where the state of New Jersey was during this time regulating this guy. Nobody did it. Despite this, the people continued to come in massive numbers. Yeah, because you'd go, well, that guy was probably an idiot. Or maybe that lady wasn't paying attention. You never think it's going to be you. The park's fortunes began to turn with 2 deaths in the summer of '84 and the legal financial problems stemming in the CEO Eugene Mulvihill pleaded guilty that November to 5 insurance fraud-related charges. Still, attendance remained high and the park remained profitable, at least on paper. This guy's already a con man. He got kicked off Wall Street. I'll tell you about him when we're done with this, because how this guy, look, I'm not big on super regulation, but when we're talking about people's death, yeah. Ugh. The park entertained over 1 million. Let's see how I can go back into that, lady. No, I'm going to pretend I'm a Midwest news lady. The park entertained over 1 million visitors during the 80s, with as many as 12,000 people coming to some of the busiest weekend. Park officials said this made the injury and death rate statistically insignificant. What? So we lost a couple? Last time I heard that, Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. About 170-mile-an-hour winds. Me and Lou rocked right up. I didn't even think about the wind. And then I asked the guy at the ticket deal, you got to pay to park. You don't have to pay to go on the Cliffs of Moher. It's free, but you got to pay to park. And it's not a lot. And I said, does anybody ever get swept off the cliff by the wind? Oh, I'd say we lose. 2 is teasing. 2, maybe 3. Depends on how crowded it is. Okay. But see, that's enter at your own risk. That's a cliff. It's windy. Don't walk near the edge of the cliff. That's not getting on a ride that I have assumed is safe. Different. Nevertheless, the director of the emergency room in a nearby hospital said they treated anywhere from 5 to 10 victims of park accidents on some of the busiest day, and the park eventually bought the township of Vernon extra ambulances to keep up with the volume. Okay. Then they put a referendum on a ballot that, if passed, would have legalized the operation of games of skill and chance. He wanted to turn it into a casino too, because it just wasn't enough at that time. God Almighty, how much money do these people weigh? Okay, this is where I go crazy. In early 1995, GAR, that's Great Valley Gorge thing, and Action Park, they had no liability insurance. New Jersey did not require it. And GAR found it more economical to go to court than purchase liability insurance, since they relied on their own self-insurance. However, they ultimately purchased liability insurance from Evanston Insurance Company in May of that year to cover Action Park and skiing facilities. But here's the thing. He created a fake insurance company to insure himself. That's not in this part, but maybe it is. I know he did it, because I read about it. He finally went into bankruptcy. He owed over $14 million. They filed for Chapter 11 protection. Remained optimistic that they could regain their financial footing within a year. I'll read you about the insurance crap. It's unbelievable. They had a crazy slide. 19-year-old George Larson Jr., this is in the movie, had previously been a ski lift operator at Vernon Valley. He was thrown from the slide when his car jumped the track and his head struck a rock. After several days in a coma, he died. The park said he was an employee, it was nighttime, and it was raining. None of that was true. They also said as an employee, his death didn't need to be reported to state regulators. Oh my God. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't just New Jersey. I'm sure it was all over the place. We had a water slide in the Ozarks that was made of concrete, and there were no giant rails. And our whole goal as teenagers was to on a curve to fly over it. Never even occurred to us to look what was over that. Woods. So you just get a stick up your ass. And I guess we thought that would be hilarious. It was, can you get high enough to just disappear? But that's what's wrong with the teenage mind. They don't think of the next thing. Me being one of them. It's not like I'm smarter than the average duck on a water slide. Just as big of a moron. Yeah, man, I don't think I'm heavy enough. Somebody get on my mat with me. See if we can go over the top. I think we thought we were like those Olympians on luges or something. This is another thing you can't put people in like that, teenagers. There were so many rides. That's why you got to watch the show. I'm not blowing it. The skateboard park, that was responsible for so many injuries. We covered it up with dirt and pretended it never existed. That's one way to deal with it. Moto World, they had super go-karts that went 20 miles an hour. That's too fast. Battle action tanks, I did like this ride. You'll see it till some jackass. They shot little balls at other tanks, but then some guy brought gasoline and set his balls on fire. And then now, yeah. Super speeds boats, ridiculous. They could be driven around a small island up to 40 miles an hour. No, you can't give somebody who doesn't know how to drive a boat a 40-mile-an-hour boat. I mean, you can. That's why this place is exciting. I do agree this guy was kind of like an Evel Knievel person, but you're the owner. You have to have responsibility. Bumper boats. We had those in the Ozarks. Here's what they don't tell you. In the middle of the bumper boat, there's a motor. A motor. And here's how they started it. Just like a lawnmower. You're steering, if your legs hit the motor, instant burn. You're burned by a motor. Good thing is you're in water. Flick some water on it. Keep going. There's going to be somebody on your ass in a minute. This was supposedly a safer ride than the speedboats, but the engine often leaked gasoline, at least once requiring medical attention for one rider who got too much of it. Skin. Tall riders were unable to fit their legs on the small-sized boat, resulting in them hanging off the sides of the boat and being fractured during collisions. Well, what is not fun? I mean, you got to see the Cannonball Loop. I'm not going to blow it all for you guys. You got to go watch it. The thing that I thought was the most visually horrifying on this thing that I would have said, well, like here's the one, the Tarzan swing. This one was no big deal. You swung on a swing into the pool. Now the water was too cold. It might have given me a heart attack, but I'm old, not when you're young. And like we Tarzan swung in the Ozarks, but like you could actually land on top of a cottonmouth. So I think our Tarzan swing was a little more dangerous than this one. But I don't know. Cold water could be just as dangerous. I thought the Roaring Rapids one, any of you guys ever go on that? You East Coast guys, girls, do you go on that? Reports filled the park in this state in 1984 noted fractured femurs, collarbones, noses, dislocated knees and shoulders. He wanted to turn it into a real rapid number 4, a 4. Oh no, it's the Colorado River ride, I think. That's the one. I don't know. It's the Rapids or the Colorado. You'll see it on the thing. But one of them, it just looks, no helmets anywhere. I don't think there were life jackets either. No, nobody gave a shit. And then this is just about visitors and like we got dumped off at Six Flags. My one year, I don't know, my parents must have made extra money. They got the 5 of us, the older ones, Six Flags passes for the summer. It was outside of St. Louis. And my mom would just drop us off. I mean, I was 11, at the most. Meet me back here at 5. And we were golden. We were totally fine with that. But Six Flags is a company that will be held responsible. I did not feel nervous getting on this Screaming Eagle because it's owned by Six Flags, which is a major corporation. It's not owned by, Jim, some dude. And if you knew, they also sold beer. So you could be drunk doing all this too, which is even more fun. I mean, I wouldn't want to go if they didn't sell beer. Anyway, it closed, and then then his kid tried to reopen it, and you can go Google what happened to it. But here's the dude. This guy, wow. There's just when you think we're gonna run out of these people, we're not. Eugene, quote, Gene Mulville, the founder and designer of many of the park's attraction, and he owns it. He garnered notoriety for action parts, faults, and dangerous conditions. Also took part in a money laundering scheme, which added a criminal element to what he brought to his beloved park. And they did say he was a good time Charlie. Like, he did like the place. So then you'd probably think, well, he's like Walt Disney didn't seem like a barrel of fun. This guy seems like a lot of fun, and he's part Evel Knievel. So you're like, yeah, dude, I want to be Evel Knievel. I had his trash can. I had 2 trash cans in my room. Planet of the Apes, great one. And anything Evel Knievel, if I had the money, I would save up for it. I thought he was a real great American. This guy started out on Wall Street. Here's all you need to hear. Penny stocks. Oh, God. Yep. He started at the height of the penny stock thing with the New York Stock Exchange when salesmen would sell worthless stocks to unknowing customers for an exorbitant amount of money. Think Wolf of Wall Street. He was a prominent and charismatic face on Wall Street version of Donald Trump or the real-life Gordon Gekko. The documentary called him that used this idea to his advantage while running Mayflower Securities with his friend so-and-so. In 73, he was suspended by the Securities and Exchange Commission on the grounds of selling customers worthless securities in bankrupt electronics company. See, this is the kind of shit my dad would go, now who wants to go to Action Park? And I just think we're having roast beef and mashed potatoes and everything's going to be great. And I'd be like, I do. And then he'd go, well, let's learn a little bit about the man who owns it. And then dinner would be ruined by what I like to call Jack's buzzkill files. Guess what, Jackalope? I want to go in the battleships. Don't care about your owner. Don't care about your information. Don't care about your files. But he would do something, and then it'd scare the shit out of me. So, essentially banned from Wall Street and needed to find a way to make money, Mulville, I can't say it right, along with Brennan and a few other investors under a company called the GR, we established that. They went and bought the resort. They found success, and they needed to find a way to make money in the summer. We know all that. While creating the park, it also came with Mulville experimenting with designs for new and unsafe rides, which included the Action Shot, all the ones we went to. Eventually, the infamous slide featured a dangerous loop-de-loop, which was officially open for 1 month in 1985 before being shut down by who? The New Jersey Carnival Amusement Ride Safety Advisory Board. Look, the state of New Jersey didn't shut that shit down. The carnies did. Do you know how fucked up your ride has to be for carny folk to come in and go, dude, this is just not acceptable. People are gonna die. I've seen teacups rides out in the Ozarks, and I know some of those cups weren't attached. And I knew as soon as it started, a cup was gonna fly and probably kill people. But I expected it from that kind of event. This, no, you don't. Drop your kids off, you think they're safe, they're jacked up. The carny said no. Gene was big and loud and full of idea, the park operation manager said about his former boss. Probably 90% of those ideas were just so crazy and off the wall, nobody would want to get near him, and the other 10% were pretty close to that. He actually made a lot of those ideas happen. He kept up his antics from his Wall Street days, allowing inexperienced teenagers without any sort of rules or guidance run the place. As the documentary shows, his employees engaged in multiple inappropriate activities on site, ranging from all outrageous ended summer smoking weed and having sex in abandoned. Well, that's all what kids would do. I wouldn't expect that. As the documentary points out, Action Park had no form of insurance to protect itself from multiple lawsuits, because what insurance company would dare to cover this quote, creatively designed park, aka dangerous? If someone tried to sue the park, not only would he not settle, he'd eventually to force you to a super long trial without fail. Right. Now, most parents wouldn't think of all this, though. I just happen to have a legally psycho dad. Most people don't. So they'd think it was safe, because you'd think the state. If you told a bunch of parents, look, all this shit's going on out there, nobody knows what's going on, but I know the local carnies told them one ride was too much, they might have rethought it. This led to the next scheme from Mulvihill, who believed it was the victim who was responsible for their accidents. So he's blaming the kids. Creating a phony insurance company titled London and World Insurance. This allowed him to not only opt out of paying for insurance, but also gave way to money laundering, which according to the documentary led to the state of discovering wrongdoings and conducted a 3-day trial on a 110-count indictment, which included fraud, theft, and embezzlement. While he did end up pleading guilty to multiple charges and had to give up control of the park, it wasn't long before he eventually regained his rightful head at the park and expanded it to include 3 more areas in his world of chaos. His son Andy later wrote about it all in a book. How did he not go to jail? I don't know. In the midst of all the incidents occurring at Action Park, word got around that he potentially had under the table deals with the Mafia, which played into how much money he owed and how much power he had over the community in Vernon, New Jersey, where the park resided. When I got fired from the local newspaper as its editor because Gene contacting my boss, former editor Jesse Palladini, in the documentaries, he told me point blank in a phone conversation he was threatened by the locals, and if he didn't go to my boss and get me fired, they were not going to approve his projects anymore. 2 years before he died, he led a group that bought back Mountain Creek. In 2014, the Mulvihill family reverted back to the name Action Park. In May 2016, though, the Action Park name was retired. So, there you go. I would have let my kids go. Whoops, that's my pickle beer can. But, you know, I would have wanted it gone. I get it. Go watch that. Because there's one guy they interviewed too much. I don't know why they keep focusing on this blonde-haired man, but he's funny enough, I guess. And now, let me check the time. I don't like to go too long because I don't want to bore you termites. Oh my God, I've already gone over. But I'm going to go because I promise you guys a mystery. And I don't have a lot for this, but the reason I wanted to do this one is because I encountered a guy who swears it's true. And I never heard of this till last summer. Me and my parents and my sister and her husband and kids went to Colorado to just go whitewater rafting and then do whatever, right? Because we're not really we're learning mountains. We don't really know. I really should just go do whatever my friend Josh Blue on Instagram does. Like those Denver comics, they all have a mountain cabin. They're all super weird. They're so funny, but they're very odd. Minneapolis and Denver, weirdest comics on the map. But pound by pound, some of the funniest ever. I don't know what's going on in those places. I mean, we're not really mountain familiar, but anyway, we went. And this guy, we did a ranch tour deal in an ATV, which at one point my mother just said, let me out. We're like on top of the goddamn mountain. Let me out. I'm not going around that corner up there. I go, Mom, we can't back up. What do you want? I'll walk. I go, you think it's safer? I think this driver's on dope. Dope? What kind of dope? What does that mean to you? Dope. Well, I don't know. He's high or something. She got out. She walked. I mean, I would have been terrified. You'd have to be like, whatever. I stayed with the dope monster, and we got around it. But not the dope guy, a different guy. He was like telling me, he said he had just gotten there because he worked at a different ranch in Arizona or Utah. And I said, oh, why'd you quit? Well, are you from here or something? why'd you leave? And he was like, no, I just had there was an incident there and I wanted to get away from it. And that sounds private, right? When people say an incident and I go, oh, that sucks. He goes, yeah, you ever heard of a Skinwalker? And I was like, no, are you on the dope too? My mom thinks everybody here is on dope. Meanwhile, I bought her pot lotion for some of her surgery scars, and she couldn't get enough of that. Oh, your father loves it too. I'm like, it's really expensive. How about you two not bathe in the pot lotion? How about that? How about you give me a heads up? So Skinwalkers. I'm sure people out west just appease me. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. I hadn't. I'm gonna fill you in. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. The term is never used for healers, and the Navajo people would really like you to know that. The legend of the skinwalker is not well understood outside of the Navajo culture, mostly due to reluctance to discuss this subject with outsiders. Navajo people are reluctant to reveal skinwalker lore to non-Navajos or to discuss it amongst those they do not trust. Navajo witches, including skinwalkers, represent the antithesis of Navajo culture, while community healers and cultural workers are known as medicine women, men and women, or by terms in the local indigenous language. Witches are seen as evil, performing twisted ceremonies and manipulating magic in a perversion of the good works medicine people traditionally perform. In order to practice their good work, traditional healers learn about good and evil. They can handle their responsibility, but some can become corrupt and choose to be witches. Animals associated with the witchcraft usually include tricksters such as the coyote. Well, I used to golf in Los Angeles at a place called Griffith Park with my friend Drew, and I saw a lot of coyotes and didn't see any of them turn into a person, which would have really sucked because it was already way too crowded golfing. That's the last thing I need is the animals turning into golfers. Holy shit. But they can include other creatures, such as usually associated with death or bad omens. They might also possess living animals or people and walk around in their bodies by locking eyes with them. What? Skinwalkers may be male or female. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to tell you about Skinwalker Ranch. It's part of it. Sorry, this one's a little longer than normal. Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman Ranch, is a property located on approximately 512 acres southwest of Ballard, Utah, that is reputed to be the site of paranormal and UFO activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker of the Navajo legend concerning vengeful shaman. It's a big UFO place. That's mainly its thing. I highlighted a few other things, cattle mutilations, all that kind of stuff. I don't really know why. I kind of kept Googling. They're not really saying why they called that ranch that, but I think because it's the shape-shifting things. A lot about shape-shifting things, but here's what the guy told me. Yeah, this is too long to read. I didn't highlight enough. It's the same stuff that you would think. But, so the ranch guy, who was probably, 30, he said that he was driving and that there was a dude, and I do believe he would do this because he seemed like the Colorado dude where they're just nice and they help people. They're trusting. Even my comic friends, who are totally can be jaded and cynical, are still very nice people. And the Denver comics, all Colorado comics. But he said he saw this guy on the side of the highway that looked like an old man, and it was cold out, and he didn't have any like shoes, or he had like shitty clothes on, but he was clearly cold and freezing, so he pulled over and picked him up, and the guy didn't talk. And I don't know if the guy was white or brown, or I don't even know anything about the guy other than he didn't talk. And he just would make noises. And he said his eyes were weird, but I figured, he's kind of homeless and he's all scruffy and shit. But at one point, the guy reached towards a steering wheel and tried to drive them off the highway. And then the ranch guy fought him off of the steering wheel, and the guy kept grunting. Now this could go with kind of any kind of behavior. It doesn't mean yet the guy's a skinwalker. and he got pissed. So he made the guy get out of the car. And then he drove like another 3 miles, and he said, then I felt bad because, I put this old guy out in the freezing cold, and maybe he just was flipping out. So I went back, and I thought I should give him one more chance. And he went back, and he said, I saw his footprints in the snow, so I followed him, and then they turned into coyote prints. Now, I know half of you just went, that's bullshit. And then half of you went, what? I'm a lady that's always going to go, what? Because I just didn't see this guy making this up. It depends on the source. I didn't see him being like certainly not a guy looking to get attention or tell a story. He's a man of few words anyway. I had to interview him to get him to talk, and the only reason I did that is because, I don't know, my mom wandered off somewhere, and I was bored waiting. And so he swears that was true, and he left. Now, do we believe they're in shapeshifters? Termites? Do we? I don't know about that. I have to do a little more research on that. Do I believe that happened? Some of it. I believe you probably picked that guy up. I believe that guy may have done that. And I believe the prints may have looked like, but they also say once you see one and you make eye contact, now you're in, which is kind of bullshit. Wasn't your fault. Why do you have to be in on bad luck forever because of one incident of trying to be nice? That's where these things sometimes fall apart for me. Okay, termites. Here's what we're going to watch next. Ready? It's a bit of a commitment. Well, there's two things. I think the one thing, because I made Lewis watch it, and I haven't had a chance yet, The Man Who Would Be Polka King. Google. I don't know what it's on. One of the things you can Google. I've only seen the clips, and it looks fascinating. And if you ever watch American Greed, which I love, which is on CNBC, it's all about just, shysters and hucksters and people that are just con men. And mostly it's about that. But this looks like an extended, more colorful version of an American Greed. A polka king of Pennsylvania that ends up ripping people off. The other one that I've been told to watch by my friend Pam is The Vow. That's about a cult too, so I'm really going to be into it. And that's a modern day cult. I think I've read news stories about it, and then I forgot about it. I think they got tattooed. Why does everybody want to do that? To brand your cult people. They're staying anyway. You don't gotta. They're not a cow that's going to wander off. Clearly, nobody wandered out of Waco. Nobody wandered out of Jonestown. They tried, and then you can't. Because you're not getting your deposit back. I think we've established that. And just in the spirit of what do I got going on here on my notebook? That's a little sticker from Loch Ness. So, Man Who Would Be Polka King. Let's try to find that. Looks fun and entertaining and true. And The Vow. And there's like 4 episodes. So I don't expect you to watch them all. We'll just talk about one at a time. Because I didn't want to watch them when they came on because because I have an addictive personality. I need them all. I don't want to do, okay, can't wait till next Sunday. What am I going to do till then? When the next episode comes on. I prefer, if possible, binging. All right, termites. That's really all I got for you. You can go, if you miss me, you can go watch me on Netflix or Amazon or wherever those things are. You could go watch back episodes of the podcast. Or you could just say, screw it, I'm watching The Man Who Would Be Polka King. He's probably more interesting than that lady. And you probably are right. For a period of time, I think the Polka King dominated and ruled Pennsylvania. Probably parts of Ohio, I'm guessing. Wherever there would be a lot of Polish people. That's probably where that guy made his money. Because who else listens to polka? One final thought. One time, Lewis, my friend, got nominated for a Grammy Award under the comedy albums. And I thought, I want to go see what's available for Grammys. I didn't even know we had them for comedy albums at the time. There's a Grammy Award for Best Polka Album of the Year. Did you know that? I didn't. And why, in God's name, are they not included in the broadcast? Like the comedy one isn't either. There's all kinds of Grammy Awards that are given out in the day at some bullshit luncheon, and they're not the ones you get to see at night. Do I want to see the Best Polka Album of the Year person? Yeah. Yes, I do. And do I want them to perform? Even more so. Yes. I can think of a lot of people I could cut to make room for the man who would be Polka King at the next Grammy Awards. So we'll just shout that out to the Grammy Awards people, and that's it. I'm going to sign off and say, night-night termites.